Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of the Crisis Victory Show. My name is Dr. Hal Bradley. I'm your host and co-producer of the program, along with Pete Turner of the Break It Down Show, who is my co-producer with this particular show. So with that being said, I have a really interesting guest for you all today, a man that was originally going to be in a book that we were creating at one time called Surviving a Double Life. Pete was one of 6 people that I'd interviewed for the book, but as fate turned, we weren't able to get the book in its completion. So what we've done is open up a podcast show to share their stories and the other stories of other people that have a similar like or interest. Now, I always put a warning to the show, which you saw on screen, but I also like to verbalize that a lot of the things that we discuss are people that have survived extreme crisis events. Pete and I both came up from some pretty hardcore backgrounds coming through life and growing up, and I'm just so excited to be able to share his story today. So without further ado, go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Pete Polis. Pete, good to see you, man.
Nice to see you, Hal. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, man. It's my birthday eve. I'm going to be an old fart tomorrow at the age of 70, so let's rock on with them.
You're turning the 70 corner, huh?
Yeah, I sure am, man. Can you believe we made it that far in life? Just unbelievable, isn't it?
I definitely shouldn't be here. That's for sure.
Well, God had a different plan for us in our later years,
Absolutely.
and he let us go through all those events to take that wisdom out of that former lifestyle that you and I and many others have lived. And now look at the work we're doing today that represents him so well and helps our communities.
Absolutely.
And I'm so excited about where you're going with everything that you've accomplished, but it's all as a result of what we were in our former years and our former life before we gave our life to the right direction instead of the wrong one.
100%.
So Pete, I'd like to start the show by having you explain a little bit about who you are from the past. We'll get into what you're doing today a little later in the show,
Sure.
but give them some history here. It's all yours.
Well, I grew up in New York, a son of a police officer, and much of my life was baseball oriented. That was from when I was about 4 years old on. Me and my dad used to have this thing that we used to do. We used to go around the city in New York and go to these big places and go dumpster diving, which is going to kind of lead into where things took off for me. Well, I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie. I think it's called The Bug's Life. They call that Utopia. You know, there's a city out there that is everything's perfect. And well, if you guys have ever dumpster dived in your life, you know that it's pretty messy. So I understand this. So we go around. He wakes me up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. We go right after the club is closed down. We jump into the dumpsters. He parks in the back. I go, well, I was at Dad. I said, I know there's a dumpster out there that's like the golden dumpster. I'm getting full of crap and it's just disgusting. So one day we come upon this club. It's called Uncle Sam's, and jumped in that dumpster, and it was like an office in there. If you can ever imagine a dumpster being clean, it had 20, 30 cases of beer still put in a carton, lined up. It was just like a dream come true. And I said, Dad, man, this is it, man. We started going back, and we went probably 6 weeks in a row, every day, every weekend, like clockwork. One day, this guy comes up from behind me dressed in a 3-piece suit. He's like, hey, kid, what the hell are you doing in my dumpster? I said, I don't know about. I said, this is not your dumpster, number one. What the hell does it look like I'm doing? I'm collecting bottles. He said, come out here. He puts his arm around me. And he said, we've been watching you, Pete. I introduced myself, Pete. He said, we've been watching you every single Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're here like clockwork. He says, how would you like a job? And I said, doing what? Now, I'm only 7 years old at the time. So my dad was still out there. So he's like, I said, doing what? He said, I need someone to clean up the cigarette butts around my club. He said, just come after school. I'll pay you $20 a day. Now, in 1976, 77, it's pretty good money, you know?
Yeah, it was.
So I got a little feedback here, Hal. I don't know where that's coming from. But anyway, so I start the very next day. I go in and I start sweeping cigarette butts. I'm knocking the door. Guy's name was Tony. He's like, hey, comes out, gives me the money. Well, unbeknownst to me, it was, an organized crime family, obviously, that I was working for. And it started from there, and it blossomed into, from I was about 7 years old, through high school, through college. I got a 5-year full scholarship for baseball. I winded up actually getting drafted my third year of college into professional baseball, but that's a little bit further on the story.
Wow.
But that's how long I stayed with this family. And it was intense, but I learned valuable lessons. Although obviously there's crime there, there's things that, to this day I don't talk about just because of the oath I took not to say anything.
Yes.
And I was a big shot. I was a hitman. I was a gopher. I was a gopher kid. But they knew me as little Petey, and I used to have the card games where people would get them their drinks. They slipped $20 in my pocket. I was just a little kid, a little gopher kid, but I was around some big boys there, and I watched a lot of things happen. But I learned commitment. I learned to keep my mouth shut. I learned that, family is everything. You keep your mouth shut. Well, about 3-4 months into it, I get promoted, so to say, and now I'm going from sweeping the cigarette butts into the bars, and I'm doing bar backing. I'm just loading up the bars, liquor, beer, whatever you want. And we just load it up. There's a list on each bar, and it's before it opens up. So I go clean one day, and I remember back when Folgers came in a can, Folgers can.
I remember.
Well, I find one of those stuck behind a light, and I open it up, and it's like just a chunk of money in there. Well, I thought someone was stealing, so I come running up the stairs. And I'm like, "Hey, Tony, honey," said, some guy's trying to freaking skin the pot off you." And he just starts laughing, and he goes, "Petey, listen, we put that there." I said, "What'd you put that there for?" And he said, "We put it there to see if you steal from us, to see if you were actually a man of your word, to see if we can trust you." And I said, why would you set me up? And he said, "Well, we want to see if we can trust you." And he said, "We really love you, Petey, and we want you to become part of the family." Now, at that time, 7, 8 years old, I didn't realize what it meant at the time.
Of course.
But just to show me what it was like as a kid, he took my finger and made a little thing of blood there, and we put it together, and he said, "From here on out, you're family." He says, "Just understand, never let anybody know what we do here. As far as it's concerned, you just work here, and always keep your mouth shut. You always have our back, and it's family, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Awesome, man. I appreciate that." And we used to set up stages. I set up stages for Madonna back in the day before she became popular. We're talking booked for $4,500 a concert.
Wow. Wow.
Before Like a Virgin made it big. So the Romantics, Billy Idol, Stray Cats, Trunks. I mean, we're talking back in the day.
Well, it's one hell of a club, wasn't it?
Oh, it was nice. Yeah. It lasted for a while, and they winded up at that time. If you remember, we were supposed to like black people. Now I don't have a problem with, but back then we weren't allowed to. So they opened up the club to. They wound up opening up the club to black people, and the club just kind of went another way. And one day there was an accident, and the club burned down, and they went on their very way. Things happened. Unfortunately, some of the family went away for 16 years. They call it arson, and they went away for 15 years. But when I got drafted, they wound up having a big meeting to see to make sure that I can go away, because I was with them for so long. So they voted, of course, it's not a problem. I go away. They were going to give me a little going away gift, some money. Well, that phone call, I didn't realize it at that time, but that phone call was tapped. And what they thought, I guess what the feds thought, they thought I was going to Florida, not going to spring training, but I was going to Florida to open up a part of the family or something like that. I didn't know that. For years, they were watching me, and I never even knew it. It was crazy. But on my junior year, I wound up getting drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow.
And I wound up signing. I wound up going down there. And, I'm not going to get into the big thing of baseball, even though it was a big part of my life. But I played I played 3 years of with the Blue Jays. I played with the White Sox. I played with the Yankees. I played with an organized independent club called the Posse, which brought me out to Washington, where I'm at right now. And that was in 1995. Jeter came on. Derek Jeter came on. He lived right next door to me in the hotel, and
Wow.
and
Hey,
I just
baseball was a big part of your life, Pete. I'm glad that you're sharing that to the story today.
it was big part of my life.
It's all part of the prelude to where you're going with this.
Of course. Well, you say that it's extreme crisis situation. Well, when people hear my story, a lot of them say, "What the hell happened in that period of time for you to get into so much trouble?" Because besides when I was a little kid hanging around mobsters, it was baseball. I was playing with Derek Jeter, played with Michael Jordan in 1994. When he was playing with the White Sox, I played with him. I had a great season, great spring training with the Yankees. Was going to break with the 40-man roster, and the baseball strike happened.
Wow.
You can freaking believe
it. It's fate.
Unbelievable. So now I can either cross the line or I can stay behind. I don't want to cross the line and become a scab. So I play with Jeter. I play with Jimmy Leyritz, Jimmy Key, Wade Boggs. I played all those guys for 6 months during spring training. When spring training is over, they cut me just because the strike happened and I didn't want to stay with the club. So my agent flies me to Washington. I pick up on a team here and start playing. Fast forward, I wind up meeting a girl, getting married, having 2 kids. Life's good.
Yeah, life's great.
Life's great.
Yeah,
But one day, my dad wasn't the easiest person to get along with. He was very good, very strict, but it was baseball only. No fun, no games, no nothing. The only fun I had was going to work at the club. It's like my only break in life. Everything else was baseball, 10, 12 hours a day. So it's like, it got to the point where I didn't like baseball. I was good. I could get what I wanted. It paid for my education, but I just didn't like it. So I know my son was born one day, and I wanted to, call him up and ask him, tell him how things were going with my son. And he like, you need to get ready for the game. I said, yeah, but I just want to tell you about my son. He was just born. Bring it to the game today. Pete, just concentrate on the game. I'm like, you know what, Dad? I said, I'm not going to fall into this same rut with being this way to my son. So guess what, man? I quit. And after playing from when I was 4 years old to 1998, I quit on the spot in spite of things because I didn't want it to control me anymore, which is a lot of things you'll see in my life I sabotage things. When things are going good, I tend to sabotage them. I never knew why, but I always wonder why maybe God was trying to, force the hand. He knew I was going to sabotage things. Let's get him over this way. I don't know. I really don't know.
I'd like to cut in on that at this point, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You and I have a real comparative about our early childhood. You grew up around mobsters. I went to Mexico. I grew up around a cartel-controlled village at the age of 15. And I understand that the dedication, the loyalty, and the commitment, because what we're being exposed to is something highly dangerous, very extreme, outside of the norm and normal lifestyles, and it deserves to be preserved and protected. Mm-hmm. And because we were both young when we were exposed to those type of environments, those things really collect with us and they connect with us. And I understand the loyalty. When I walked into the Department of Justice and went after the people that were not letting me have my life either, I didn't get arrested and start running around telling on all the boys and girls that sold drugs for me and all that. Because I was in trouble with the law. I went after a damn drug cartel, and I knew I needed a bigger baseball bat than they had. And there's nothing bigger than the Department of Justice. So anyway, getting back to your story, I'm trying to add that into this point to let people understand that when certain principalities are ingrained from a criminal aspect in a criminal world, you see a loyalty that you don't see in the legitimate world. You see a different type of a love and a compassion, because it's all about life and death when you are in that other world. And that, my friend, is why the draw was so strong. And you weren't quitting working. You weren't quitting when you were working and sabotaging your careers. What you were doing was manifesting based on experience from a counterculture allowing you to enter into another chapter of your life and experience yet another culture.
Right.
As a doctor that counsels people and have for 19 years now, I fully understand the concept of that. But I myself have felt that identical way, how I would say I would sabotage myself, because it's all going so good. What the hell am I doing here with this good? And no. It's because of what was put into us at such a young, early age in life that grafted into that ability to be like a chameleon and change. Talk about a double life. Look at the life you have lived, Pete. My God. I did interview you for a book at one time. I do know a lot of this that you're sharing today. And folks, the best is yet to come, but I get it. I totally get it. So go ahead. Please proceed.
So I wound up quitting and winded up coming home telling my wife, hey, I quit baseball. I'm going to become the best dad in the world. Well, that didn't really resonate very good. And that led to a little bit of infidelity. And for a while, it wound up leading to a divorce. And this is great. So I dump into car sales, if you can believe it. It's a natural thing. I just thought, so I go from baseball to car sales. I do that, and I'm very good at it because people knew me in town from playing baseball, so they'd come to me and they want to buy cars from me. One day, a man comes on, almost like the guy with the 3-piece suit when I was in the dumpster. Something stood out about that guy. Well,
exactly.
This guy comes walking on the field one day. On the car lot, and there's something about him. He's got a 3-piece suit on once again, looks nice. And I say, hey, sir, what do you do for a living? He says, I own a corporation. I said, you must be doing pretty good. He goes, I think so. I said, man, check it out. I said, if you ever come up with a position in your company, I said, I will quit on the spot. I will come work for you for free to earn my keep.
Yeah, you recognize something there.
I recognize something.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
He said, hey, I'll keep that in mind. We looked around. He wanted to buy a car for his daughter. I helped him out. He comes, I don't know, 6, 7 weeks later, 8 weeks later. I don't know what it was, but he's like, hey, Pete. I'm like, yeah. He goes, you still want that job? I said, oh, hell yeah. He said, go ahead, let's go. So I went upstairs. I was making about 10 grand a month selling cars, working a lot though.
Not bad.
I go in there and I say, hey, I said, I quit. I want my last paycheck. And the guy goes, what are you talking about? I go, I'm going to work for that guy down there. He's got a huge, I started exaggerating. I was an exaggerator at that time. I come to bite me in the ass, but he's got a huge corporation. He makes so much money. I'm going to go work for him. And so we hop in the car. We go get some lunch at China Cafe. And we go, he said, I'm going to stop by my office real quick. And he pulls up to a church. And I said, what's this? And he said, this is where I work. I said, bro, you say you own a corporation. He goes, yeah, it's a 501c3 corporation. It's a nonprofit. I go,
yes.
What do you do? And he goes, I'm a pastor. I said, well, what the hell am I going to do to make money? He goes, I don't know. You're the one who said you wanted to work. So now I just leave that job. I have no money coming in and I'm working for a pastor at a church, and I am not a church-going person at all.
Yeah, but you know what, Pete? There was something the moment he walked on that lot that day that you recognized.
There was a calling. There was a tug.
There was something there.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. So I say, well, what do you guys do at church? He says, we minister to people. I said, show me around. So he showed me, and he opened up this pantry-type food place that had food. And I said, what's this? And he goes, this is our food bank. I go, is it for the office? He goes, no, we feed people in the community. I go, bro, that can't feed my family. And he said, I said, well, he goes, you want to start there? I said, all right. I said, yeah, I'll start there. I said, I envision something bigger than this. And he goes, well, what do you think? I said, I'm warehouses and semi-trucks. And he goes, well, that's where you can start. I go, his name was Doug Graves. I said, Doug, if I raise money, can I take out a little bit of salary? And he goes, well, we have to follow the guidelines of the nonprofit, but absolutely. If you earn, you keep. I said, well, I put together, I got the secretary at the time, which I'll bring her back in a minute. Okay. But I wanted to get into her. I took pictures of this warehouse that I saw, and she made it so she put a sign on it to make it look all professional. I put some financials together. I was a hustler. I was a hustler my whole life. So I'm just putting things together, and I line up meetings with some of the biggest corporations in town. Every one of them knew me from baseball, so they let me through the door. Well, I go to a place, it was called the Polis sheet metal at the time, and $1 billion company. And I got all the board of directors there, and I tell them what I want. I hand out the financials, and they open up. And about 10 minutes into this, the guy goes, "Hold on a second." This is the owner. He said, "I thought you said this was an investment opportunity." I go, "It is." I said, "But you're investing in the community." And he goes, "I am not giving you money for no food bank." I said, "You know what, but I don't need your money, you fat ass. Get out of here." And he said, "This is my office. You leave." I said, "Shit, that's right." So I started packing my stuff up, and the vice president was there and asked to clear the room. And all that was left was me and my pastor at the time and the secretary and the finance person. And he goes, "Pete, what are you trying to do?" I said, "Man, I'm trying to build something good for this community and get paid at the same time." And he goes, "Let me see that. How much do you need?" And I said, "Warehouse is $879,000. That's all I know. I don't know what else has to go into it." And he said, "Nobody talks to that man like that. Guy's a billionaire." I said, "I don't care. He's a root piece of shit. I don't care." Yeah. And he said, "No, you got some set of balls to come in here like that." He goes, "I like that. I'll tell you what. I'll give you the money." He said, "There's some conditions, but I'll give you the money." So Hal, the next day we went down to the bank, and $879,000 was there. Wow. And I winded up buying an old refinery warehouse. It took a little bit more than that. I needed escrow money, which I didn't really understand where I would get at the time. But being a hustler, I got 2 tiles, a 12 by 12 tile and a 6 by 12 tile. And I engraved my name on the small one and the pastor's name on the big one. And I said, "This is the answer to the $67,000 escrow that we need." And he says, "What are you going to do with those?" I said, "I'm going to sell them for $500,000. And how I did it. 3 weeks, I sold about $69,000 worth of tiles. Got the money.
Beautiful.
We winded up getting TJ Maxx, Macy's, Bed Bath Beyond, Target, Walmart, every corporation that was in that area gave to us. And lo and behold, it winded up becoming a 15,000 square foot food bank, which to this day, the numbers were given that it fed 750,000 people with 15 million pounds of food and product in that time.
That's just absolutely amazing. And
so that was my first gig there. I winded up going on. I worked about 8 years there. I winded up becoming a pastor, ministering to people, running that church. My pastor got sick. He was an ex-heroin dealer and a user, and he wound up getting hepatitis C, which God completely healed him of.
Yes.
The day that he got clear bill of health, he had a pain in his side, and he said he's going to go to doctors, and they had a minuscule lump, a little cancer lump that he had on his, and it winded up taking him out. How in 29 days it killed him. Yes. Never seen nothing like.
I'd like to cut in at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and I are both pastors, and it's so funny how men of the backgrounds that we came out of, but you know what I'm trying to say is when we get called to it, we really take it for what it truly is. We 100%. Recognize the calling. And with me, when I entered the federal prison system, that's when I started my seminary years and did my studies in there. And while I was completing it, I mean, Johnny Gambino was the guy that threw my yard feast the day that I was formally ordained. They were all so proud. And they all.
I think I saw his name in your book.
Yeah.
The signatures or what like that.
Yeah, and John Gotti, when Johnny showed up, I did messages between them. I was trained to become a certified hospice counselor. I took 24 prisoners through the dying process. But what's interesting, Pete, is the ability to put things together came from a criminal background. And this is what God does. He finds people like you. Your pastor was a heroin trafficker. I was sent to the Medical Center for Federal Prisoners where I met Johnny because I was dying from hepatitis C. I was taken out of an FCI in Colorado. They got me there and gave me less than 3 months to live. And I volunteered for an experimental drug. And here it is 26 years later. So no one can tell us how God doesn't have a play in that.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely love how God transitioned you and took you into pastorship and how he had you take the place of another pastor at that time when the need became manifested for the church. That's amazing. And it's
Well, it's amazing, except it took a real bad turn.
Well, yeah, I understand that. We hit hips and bumps. Both of us work feeding the homeless and destitute. I'm in my 19th year of doing it. I absolutely admire you for taking that direction. Instead of looking at it as a downfall, you built it into something that benefited humanity. And that, brother, that's where the hustling and learning how to hustle at an early age in life gets turned around, right? Am I right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I love you for it, brother. I do. Please go ahead. I just had to add to
absolutely. That. So he winded up passing in 29 days, and how at that moment in time when he died, I realized that everything I didn't have with my physical father, my biological father, I saw in him and my pastor. So I didn't really have a relationship with God as strong as I should have. I had a relationship with Pastor Doug. So like the house built on the sand, when he crashed, so did I. I crashed. Yeah. I didn't know what to do. And I ran. Like 3 days after he died, I up and hightailed it down to Arizona. I went down to Arizona. I was already divorced at the time. My ex-wife told me I could take the kids with me, but the last day she had some papers mailed to the house I no longer live at. And I was served, but I wasn't served because I was not there. Wound up going past the court date. I lost custody of my kids. So I got partial custody during the summer. But who wants to come to Arizona, Yuma, Arizona, in the summer?
Part of the journey, brother.
So here I am there. I winded up working for a company called Safety Services, and they worked in the prisons with inmates, telemarketing, selling OSHA compliance, safety meetings, manuals, and whatnot. So I was good at doing that. But of course, I saw opportunities all the time. And I think the Valdez oil spill happened in Florida, and they needed on-site training.
Exxon Valdez was up in Alaska, I believe.
Well, where that big huge spill back in 2010, was it 9?
God, it has to be that far gone. Yeah.
It was way long ago. Yeah. Well, they needed it. I know it traveled hundreds of miles. So they needed on-site training for hazmat and hazwapper, everything to handle chemicals and hazardous materials. Well, the company I was working for wasn't going to go on site. So I had a company call in and say, we need someone down here this weekend, and we will pay, $5,000 a person. We don't care what we have to pay. So on my lunch hour, I created A&O Consulting. I created a little company, and I booked him, and winded up, making $35,000 in one weekend doing training. I just went to the Yellow Pages and found someone, sent them down there, did the training, but I was caught. So they fired me. Competition clause, you can't do that, conflict of interest. So I beat down doors to Ashley Furniture, start selling furniture. After yelling at the manager and convincing them to give me a job, they gave me a job. I wound up making manager within 2 weeks, and I was good at it. I negotiated my own salary, my own bonuses. Now I'm literally making about $130,000 to $150,000 a year. Beautiful. I was killing it. Yeah. And nothing in life was better. I'm in a nice place. I got cars. I got everything. Everything seems to be going good. And my son winds up smoking weed one day, which was okay because it was legal, like back in the day. And my ex kicks him out. So I have to quit. It's like a big roller coaster. So I had to quit because my son is sitting at a gas station, has nowhere to go, and he's only in his teens. So I quit the job. I was working about 5 years at the time with no job here in Washington. I'm coming back to Washington, but I got good statistics at Ashley Furniture. I know it's a franchise. I wound up sending my numbers over to a local one, and they winded up hiring me. I took a $70,000 a year cut in pay because there are a lot of furniture stores here in Washington, but in Yuma, there was 3, and I worked for 2 of them. So that's how I made so much money with the snowbirds. Well, here's where everything starts to go a little off the road a little bit. So I'm sitting there. I took a pay cut. My kids are with me now, and I have a friend. He's in the garage talking to somebody on the phone. He's talking about opiates, and I kind of hear him saying, "Man, yeah, how many you need? It's $1 milligram." I'm like, that can't be true, because that's crazy. Well, he gets off the phone. I said, "Hey, what were you talking about?" "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Polis." I said, No. I said, "What was the money thing? What did you say? Oh, $1 or what?" He said, $1 milligram. He said, for the perks. I was like, "You're kidding me." I said, "So 20 gets you $20. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Sometimes more, depending on how much the demand and supply." I was like, "I know doctors. So I said, if I can get those, do you think maybe you can get me some buy?" He goes, "We can work something out."
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Understand this. I should know better. I was a pastor. I should know better. Well,
I understand
in my
that.
eyes,
You're also a human, and you're also somebody that came up the way you and I came up. I get that.
I was an opportunity. I just grabbed it. So,
Of course.
and how I was good. So I wound up going and
No doubt.
meeting. This is when the whole Purdue thing happened, and there were pill mills. I didn't know what that was. Doctor shopping. I didn't know what it was, but I did happen to hit a doctor that she really liked me, and we winded up hitting it off. Not that way, but she sang karaoke, wanted me to sing with her, but she wound up giving me a lot of pills, everything I wanted. So I'm getting literally hundreds of pills because I can prove that I had some aches and pains with my baseball career. Yeah. And I'm going to and they give me hundreds of pills, and I'm just literally, I'm selling them. I'm taking them to work with me. I'm selling them. A couple of my employees at the time, they kind of saw like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, nothing. I got a backache." And they said, "Dude, we're not stupid. We know what's going on. Cut us in." And I was like, "Oh, well, I can hire fire." So I'm going to fast forward to the point where I'm selling probably 500 pills a day. But I'm buying them from people that prescriptions. I'm sending them into the doctor. They're buying them. I'm buying them from them. They're getting from the doctor. I'm buying from them. But it's just not enough. It's just not enough.
Never is.
But as you know, in a small town of 300,000 people, when you start moving 500 or 1,000 bills a day, you start to catch attention of other people.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I'm in Olive Garden. And the waiter comes up to me and says, "Pete, see that guy over there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, he's with a family down south." And I said, "Okay, what does he want with me?" He said he heard how much you can sell and would like to meet you. I said, "All right, well, set it up." So he sets it up. We're sitting there, go back to my apartment afterwards. He tells me, "Hey, I can get this. Sounds pretty good. Do you front? No. Cash up front? Cool." And I start just killing it. Well, when you get big and you get successful at selling pills, you get haters, you get people that try to set you up, robbers, stick-up boys, you got other plugs that are just jealous because they can't move that much.
Absolutely.
So the first thing that came my way from another dealer was Pete is a cop. He's working with the police. Well, no one takes chances with that. So literally within a day, I was cut off, 100% cut off. I went to go pick up. The guy looked at me and kind of went by and just kept driving. I said, "Where are you going?" And he would never answer my text again. Yeah. So I'm like, this is crap. So I started looking at other things. One of the guys that used to be in my Bible study, terrible, that's going down this way. He comes over one day and throws me about an eighth of Coke, a gram of Coke. And I was like, "What is this?" And he said, "No." I said, "I don't do this at all." Yeah, I go into the pills. He's like, "Try it though." I said, "I don't try it. I wasn't even doing them." Yeah. He's like, "Well," so I just called a friend of mine, throw him the Coke. I said, "Hey, I don't want this." And it sold quick. And I said, he called and he goes, "Where did you get that?" I said, "A buddy of mine in my Bible study." And he said, "Can you get more?" I said, "I have no clue." So I call up, "Can you get more?" He said, "How much do you need?" And now we're talking instantly ounces. Yeah. So I find out that colleges they love to party. And I went to college on the East Coast, but I had a full scholarship. I didn't party when I went to college. These guys party hard. So I find out the 4 colleges that are around here, and I send my guy. I sent 4 guys to each college on Thursdays. So they come over to my house. I have a whiteboard and I'm doing the math. I said, you're going to go to Eastern, you're going to go here, you're going to go Wazoo. And
here we go again.
Here we go again. Yeah. Well, this is where it took a really bad turn. My girlfriend at the time, her family lived in Tijuana. She's talking on Skype back in the day when FaceTime I wasn't even around, I don't think, but Skype was there. And she was Skyping her sister. And she had a baby. And this girl had a baby with someone in the cartel. And they said, who's at the background on the whiteboard? I said, oh, that's my boyfriend. What is he doing? Oh, he's sending people to colleges and coke and da-da-da. Oh, we'd love to meet him.
Yeah.
So that next weekend, I have 2 people that I know. It's pretty much family to my, girlfriend at the time. They come down and they said, hey, we need some help. I said, what's up? I said, it's downstairs in the parking lot. So I walked down, there's a truck down there. The bed of the truck is filled up with just meth. And I was like, bro, I don't mess. This stuff's bad news. And he said, yeah, but we need some help moving it. And I heard you do that thing with your guys on the whiteboard.
Yeah. And
bro, it stuck me. Like, what are you talking about? How did you know about the whiteboard? He said, we saw it on Skype. I was like, should never have Skype around. I didn't even think about it in the background because, So I know people. I make a couple phone calls and I get rid of 4 pounds quick. They say, thank you. We go on their way. I don't see them for 6 months. I think it's all good. I'm still rolling with everything at this time.
I think it's all a test, brother. That's what I think.
Right?
I spent 15 years of my life in the Sinaloa drug cartel. It doesn't always go real fast and real rapid, but you know what? They look for quality people like you.
They look for quality people.
You're damn right.
When that guy who discovered me, when he got in trouble for crossing weed through the Tijuana border and got sent to prison for I think a year, they came down and they said, "Can you take his place?" I said, "Doing what?" "We want to bring cars back." I said, "I'm not bringing any drugs back." And he said, no, you could be in the front car or back car, whatever you want. I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "We go 3 cars, one in the back, front, middle, back." He goes, "One in the middle has the drugs."
Well, that's certainly changed from the years when I was packing cars in Mexico and driving them across the border. They didn't do it that way at all. What era was this, Pete?
This is 2011 to 2017.
Yeah, I was driving cars in the mid 1970s across.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. I mean, it's a really good system because the guy in the front obviously is the lookout. He drives, I don't know, half a mile up ahead to see if there's any cops. The one in the middle, he gets warned. Now, if that guy up in front is slacking and for some reason we get pulled over, the guy in the back just makes sure this guy doesn't get caught, does something to distract, deter, or stop from happening.
I'd like to cut in at this point because I spent 6 years of my life driving carloads of dope out of Mexico back in the 70s.
Oh, I didn't go out of the country.
Yeah, no.
I went from Arizona to Washington.
But what I want to share with you is back in those days, in 1974, when I packed my first car, did 80 kilos. And what they did was they would spray my skin and my face with deodorant so I wouldn't sweat by accident. They would give me sunglasses that weren't too dark or weren't too light. This is how primitive it was. And then they would teach us when we go through the checkpoints, we clear the 28-kilometer zone, scrape off the turista stickers, do some shopping there in Nogales or Juarez or where the hell we were at on the border. And then we would sit there and we would monitor and have a scout monitor which guy was getting ready to get on his end of his shift change and flagging most of the cars. So we would we'd even pick the lanes we were going through. And I'd go there and I'd look those guys dead in the eye, a foot away from their face, answer their questions calmly, never, ever got caught. And I made over 70 runs across the border doing it that way. But brother, this is the 1970s. You know, things are a whole lot different back then.
Yeah, they were doing the cars and it took me. It took me a little bit, but once I learned and once I trusted and saw that, because I had dual citizenship, so to say, I had a license in Arizona because I lived there.
Yeah, of course.
And a license in Washington because that's where I'm from.
And you're a gringo. Very valuable in the United States.
That's what I'm saying. I had understand this, how at that time I had no record, nothing on my record, never in trouble. ever. So
Even
I'm
better.
a white boy. I'm a white
Yeah.
boy that's got a nice car, that has a job to prove what I have.
Just what they
two
look
kids.
for. Just
Yeah,
exactly
I mean,
what they
it's
look for.
100%. So I'm going. I wound up making, I think, 82 trips in 7 years, whatever it was. But yeah, it just happened like that. Well, as I'm going, I asked, what does the guy in the middle get paid? And because I'm not getting caught. I'm just, even though I didn't get pulled over, I'm in the front.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking, well, if I'm doing this in the front, I could do it in the middle. What's the big deal? A life sentence is a big deal. But it was more money, obviously. So I asked, hey, can I do it one time? So I did it one time, and it turned into a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I can tell you many, many times I wound up getting to the point where we would stop and in the Phoenix area, and I would learn to wrap it. I would learn to put the Trace Flores lotion on there, either the hot mustard or the grease to wrap it up, to put it up inside the glove compartment, to put in the wheel wells. I learned how to do all that stuff. And if I'm going to drive the car, I'm going to be responsible for packing it. But here's a crazy weird thing. It never really clicked that I can get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I never knew you could fit that many like that. When you take that glove box off and you crack it, I didn't know you could fit that much in that dash.
Well, down in Mexico, when I was working, we had chop shops. So we just turn the car and we'd take off for the day. We'd come back, pick up the car, and we'd just take a drive. And, we were averaging about 80 kilos a load. And these were kilos that I was buying myself down in Mexico from the village that I lived in as a child. And I was paying $20 a kilo for marijuana down there. And we were busting them up into pounds in Sacramento and getting $650 a pound. So look at the math. It was just.
I was making good money with my job and good money selling that.
Yeah.
My agreement was I would do those runs, but I didn't want any cash. I did it for product at a wholesale price.
That could be smart too.
I can double my money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, four colleges around there where you're at. You're damn right you can dump your money.
Yes. So
beautiful.
It started going like that. I wound up getting everybody in the furniture store. They're working for me.
Yeah.
So now I got clients coming in asking to put things on layaway. Layaway, only a manager can approve. And I had stuff already set up in vases, in ottomans, in recliners, in beds. In the warehouse, it was getting delivered in the trucks. Everything was kind of going good, flowing. So people are making money. Everything's good. One day, my warehouse driver, he winds up smoking. He winds up ODing when he smokes. He comes out of it, but he's in the car and fell out in Cole's parking lot. And the cops came back and wanted to know who the manager was. When I saw that, my heart dropped. I was like, "What's going on?" It wasn't about me, but it did put eyes on the store. Like, why is this guy? Why is he doing this? So I wanted to kick his ass, but that wouldn't help me any. So we winded up transferring over. One day, I get a call about dirty 30s. Now, didn't know what that was, but they said, "Hey, this is in 2012. I believe 2012, 2013. Dirty 30s." And I was like, "What?" And they said, "All these, they look like the 30 milligrams, the M pills, but they got fentanyl in it." I was like, "Dirty." I said, I'll try selling them a little bit." So I tried selling them. No one liked the name. Nobody liked dirty 30s because it just sounded dirty. And I just want the regular ones. So winded up when the regular ones got sold out. A few people started with the dirt and they got hit. I don't know if you ever did that before. I didn't do it until I was made to do it. Yeah. And it was a couple of years into selling it, but everyone started to like these dirty 30s, but they changed the name, dirty 30s, blues, Mexis, M's, whatever. I mean,
I'd like to cut in here. I like the statement you just made. I was doing because I had to do it. I was made to do it. That my brother was the day I walked in and took on the cartel. When you're made to do something and you don't feel right about it, or you've already made your bones with your life that you've done, it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? Because now you know that you're owned. It's not you anymore. Not when
No,
you
100%, 100%. Yeah, I wound up going down there. The guy that I was dealing with was out of another city around the Tri-City area. I won't say where, it doesn't matter. He winded up getting arrested. At that point in time, I could have walked away, but I didn't. I wanted to throw the phone away, getting the number downloaded, saw a number, called. It was a Mexico number. The guy in Sinaloa picked up, and who's this? It's Petey. Oh, Petey, da, da, da. What are you doing? I said, man, my guy got arrested. I know he got arrested. He goes, well, what are you looking for? I said, I look for the blues. And so now I was paying $14 a piece at the time. How that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. Jesus.
But sometimes they were going for at least 35, sometimes 50, and I've seen them go as high as 75 and 100 per pill during the times when it hit big. And so now you're just looking at that stuff, and they said, well, if you want to come down to Phoenix, you can pick up. I'll give it to you for $4, $5. I was like, wow, I can triple the money now.
Yeah,
crazy. So
it's
my
the
first trip,
easy money.
It is. But this is where it went. It went south as quick as you can go south, because I show up in Phoenix. I get I was told to go to like a Travelers Inn or something like that. I go to Travelers Inn. There's somebody waiting there for me with a piece of paper saying to call this number. I call that next number. They said, go to Burger King. Someone will be waiting for you. I go to Burger King. They have another piece of paper. I'm like, well, what in the hell is going on? And they said they just do this to make sure they're not being followed. And 1, 2, 3. First, then I got it was an encrypted text message. Something like that. I hit it, and it came up with a Microsoft Word, just a white piece of paper on my phone with an address. And it said, just go to this address and a phone number. Yeah. I called the phone now. I talked to some guy, never talked to him before, and he said, you'll know I'm going to be driving. When you get past the school, Pete, I'm going to hotbox you, or I'm going to do something to the phone. As soon as you hear the noise, make a left. And it was a loud ass noise. I don't know what they did. I have no clue to today. But when it went like in my ear. He said, did you hear that? I said, what the hell was that? He goes, make a left. Park. Walk down this alleyway. And I was scared. I'll be honest, I was scared. And I wound up walking down this alleyway, got into a car, and there's a guy in the back with dermals in his head that look like horns. He's got a gun on his lap. The guy next to me looks at me, gun on his lap. He goes, you're a cop. I said, I'm not a cop. He says, you look like a cop. I said, I'm not one. Hold on. And he calls the guy in Mexico, and they're talking Spanish. I don't understand much, but he's like, this guy's a cop. Wow. He says he's been with us years. He's not a cop. He's one of so-and-so's partners. Yeah. He said, I don't like it. So he pulls out and gives me a foil with a pill on it. He says, smoke that. I said, I don't do that. He goes, well, you're going to do it, or else you're not leaving the car. Yeah. And I was like,
and they mean it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I grew up around the cartels. When they put it down like that, that's a bullet in the head if you don't do it.
100%. So I pick it up and smoke it. And I knew so much about it that if they were regular pills, it just smelled like burnt bread or burnt not marshmallows, because marshmallows were the good ones. It was like some burnt plastic. But when they were the good fentanyl pills, they smell like a burnt marshmallow, and they smelled perfect. So I
was blessed, brother. Those came after my time. I've never sold
way after. Yeah. But I was able to just do this and smell it and say it's good. He goes, no, smoke it. And I was like, I smoked it and loved it. Unfortunately, it was probably the best feeling. I don't know how to explain it, but
here we go again.
Here we go, and it's bad because I like those, and every pill I sell at the price I'm getting, every pill I sell, I'm getting 3 free. Yeah. So now I'm selling, 500,000 pills a day. I'm going to Arizona twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month. Yeah. I can drive there and back. So now I'm driving there. I'm already hooked on that stuff. I just want that feeling one more time, but it's not coming. Yeah. It's never going to come. And I didn't realize. I was like, maybe it's a bad one. So I start getting paranoid at work. It's getting to my head. I'm taking the trips on my days off. I've fallen asleep. Cocaine. I try to do cocaine to keep me up, but I'm so ADHD that it puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do other things. I get into meth. I'm trying to smoke meth while I stay awake now. I'm going back and forth. I winded up just getting so paranoid at work that someone's going to turn me in.
Now you're out of control.
Yeah, I quit.
Everything. Yeah, of course you did.
Now I quit. I
You're
go
a drug user.
well, yeah, because and now I have no reason to back the money up that I'm making.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no job.
Isn't it crazy, brother?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it's funny. So a guy below me was an attorney, and he winds up calling me down one day. And he's like, "Hey, come here. What are you working with?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "What are you selling?" I go, "I'm not selling nothing, bro." He goes, "Pete." He goes, "Man, you're a great neighbor, but you have 75 people come over your house today.
Yeah,
you're doing something."
Yeah.
Oh, I said, "Well, here I put some
waving a flag."
Yeah, he said, "Give me $5," and he said, "I'm your lawyer now. You need to leave. You need to get out."
Yeah.
So at that time, I said, "Well, if I leave, I'll just get a place, and I'm gonna make sure no one knows where I'm at." So I wind up going 1.5 miles down the road to this brand new place, about 5 floors up. On the top floor, my buddy signed the lease for me, so my name wasn't on it, so I could just stay low.
Yeah.
And my son asked me to go down to the Albertsons on one of the streets there. I hopped on my bike, and he left. About 10 minutes later, I got a weird phone call, and I answered. It's my son. He's like, "Dad, can you come down to the parking lot?" I said, what are you doing? Whose phone is this? He goes, "I don't know. That's some Mexican guy." I said, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
He said, "They just threw me in the back of a truck." I go, "What?" He goes, "They took my bike from the back of the truck. I'm sitting here with some guys. I don't know who they are." So I go down.
It gets real. It gets real, doesn't it, brother?
It gets real quick, really quick.
Yeah, real quick.
I had a beef because I was like, "Man, I don't owe money. Like, I keep my mouth shut."
But you have knowledge.
You know exactly.
Yes, I do.
You know too much. You know what the stash spots are. They had a big party in Phoenix one time with mariachi bands and stuff like that. They dedicated a song to me, and they came by and kissed me. It was like I became part of that family. Yeah. I went to the guy's wedding. I was in the wedding and just they knew me by name. I ended up watching the kids run around in barbecues, and I had nothing against them at all. You know, they always have.
The last Mexican wedding I went to, El Chapo walked in, so I did it. Yeah. So I understand just how important that is, and what an honor for you to have been brought into that wedding where they had the mariachis and the kids, and the family, and all that. The
pig roasting in the ground.
Absolutely.
And the guns in the air, and they started celebrating.
Yeah.
And it made me feel welcome. But there are some haters there. They don't want a gringo in there. I know they don't. So
that depends. You know what? When I was at, Los Tigres de la Norte was a band that played that night, and the people were extremely wealthy. They were a cartel family in Culiacan, Sinaloa, and this was 1991. And I brought my wife down from Seattle at their request. I'm sitting at the table of bosses, and she's sitting over at the wives and mistresses, and these guys with AK-47s come in. They search the whole place. The band stops playing music. And then one of them went back out, and he brought Chapo Guzman, El Chapo. And Chapo comes up and presents him with the present and pays respect to the family, and comes over to the table of bosses, and he's hugs and handshakes. And he comes up in front of me, and one of the guys says, "Yeah, this is our friend from the Pacific Northwest." And Chapo looks at me and goes, "Oh, I remember you," because we knew each other 40 years ago when we were young, coming up in the weed business together in Jalisco. So he reaches over and he gives me a big hug, and he's just so happy that I'm there. And then he departed just like that. But, brother, when you're invited to things that are as special as that, a lot of gabachos, a lot of gringos never get that honor. They never get that privilege.
They don't.
I really think that tells me something about your relationship with them. Because that's pretty special.
Yeah, it was. And, I winded up getting very close to them and continuing on, even though that little blip happened when they made me smoke it. And then the one guy that he got out of prison, the guy, I took his place, and we were at a party, and he was there, and he looked at me like, "What are you doing here in Arizona?" And he comes up to his former partner and said, "Hey, I see you still working for him." And the guy goes, "No, he's my partner." And he looked at me.
Yeah.
"What do you mean with your partner?" He goes, "What are you talking about?" He says, "He's been partners for years since you've been gone." and he's good at what he does. Well, that didn't resonate good with him. And, he asked me if he could start working for me, watching the pills and watching the money when I went to go sell them. And, and I told him, what, come on, I'll pay you $1 a pill. At that point in time, you're making $1,000 a day.
Yeah, this is a mistake, though, isn't it? I know where this is going.
Yeah, it's a mistake.
Yeah,
it's a mistake. Yeah. So we went to the first. He speaks Spanish. I don't. So we went to go pick up from somebody else since my regular guy was arrested, and they're speaking Spanish to each other. And but they will only give when we go to pick up at these gated communities the pills. The guy would come out, walk past him, come right to me. And the guy goes, "Hey, I'm supposed to watch that." And he goes, "We don't deal with anybody but Pete, because we've been dealing with him for a long time. Don't with anybody, I don't care who you are." He goes, "Pete gets it." So I got it. I tuck it away. I'm in a Honda Civic, and there's a mat in front of me with a little space they created underneath the mat.
Yeah.
Where I put the stuff with my feet on the carpet, so that I know I can't go nowhere. I can't go nowhere. And I'm dry. I fall asleep because, of course, I'm addicted to these pills. And I'm smoking them in the car, and I pass out. I wake up at a gas station. Everyone's standing out there, and I go and get the pills, and I notice that a little hot dog type thing is gone.
Yeah.
And
remember, it's the mistake.
I know. It bit me so bad.
Yeah.
It bit me. This is one of the times I was scared. And we ended up bringing us to, it was outside of Nevada, a little town, little hotel. And we went in the parking lot. Didn't get a room. Went to the parking lot with, I had a couple drivers there, a couple of people that were dealing with me. So we had 5 people. And he's talking Spanish to my new boss, but the boss of all time. Because even though I was dealing with the guy that got arrested, there was a kid that I used to drive around Phoenix, stuff like that, to the Greyhound buses and stuff like that. And he was in cars with no radios, no panels. I didn't know he was this guy's boss. He was the main guy. He just traveled so under the radar.
That's how they run, brother.
I didn't know that. So when I finally found that out, he's like, "Pete, I trusted you." I'm like, "Man, I did not steal these freaking pills." And they said pretty much, if we leave Phoenix, you have until we get there to find those things. Someone's going to cough it up, or you guys not leaving. And I was like, shit. And it winded up, it's kind of funny, gaslighting or whatever you want to call it, but he winded up finding the pills and celebrating with us. Like, "Hey, I found them." I was like, "Oh, good job." And I knew he had them the whole entire time.
Yeah, he probably wanted to get rid of the gringo, brother. He was jealous of
100% did. And that wasn't the only time. It kept going on and on, stealing money. The first trip, I wound up selling out in 4 hours. I sold 1,000 pills in 4 hours. I give him the money to travel about an hour away to go turn them for more. I hand him the money. It was like whatever I owed above my farm. I owed $13,379. And I get there, and the boss called me. He's like, "Hey, $3,379. Where's the other 10 grand?" I said, "What are you fucking talking about? I already gave him. I gave you everything, every dime." He goes, "Nope, I got $3,379. He goes, "Pete, you need to come up with 10 grand. I was like, "I fucking gave that money. I should have went with him, but I didn't want to because I was watching stuff here. I was addicted. I knew I didn't have anything else. It's just stupid." But he winds up stealing money and just planting seeds in these guys' minds. So they, at one point in time, they said, "No, I don't know this, but one of my good friends said, 'Hey, Pete, they just called me and want me to pull a bullet in your head. They want me to take you, either put a bullet in your head or deliver you to them in Yakima.'" I was like, "Man, this is stupid." And, I didn't go with him, obviously. I'm still here. But it was just.
So was this your turning point, Pete? Was this when you made the decision to do the wonderful things that you're doing today? Was that the wake up?
No, not at all. Not at all. And let me know if I have some, what my time limit is here, because I don't know what our time limit is. No, I winded up just going gung-ho, sound like crazy. I go through these hurdles. I got chased through Vegas one time at 129 miles an hour because I got some they gave me some meth from another family. The guy's wife, dad, he wanted to be with another family. You don't switch. You don't go to two different families. But he did it because it's so cheap. It was bunk stuff. They told me to return it. I get chased through Vegas. I didn't know if it was a cop or a cartel. I had no clue. But I know they put some, the magnet thing on top of that car, made it look like it. I got chased into bars. They came looking for me. I was scared shitless. I finally just run back home, and I just make a decision. I'm going to stop. I'm going to pack up. I'm going to leave. I got some money saved. I'm going to leave.
Yeah, so smart move.
I said, listen, I need to go. My license was expired, and I needed to go to court to freaking get my license back. And I had a court date, and I'm like taking a chance because I know my name's out there. I hear it. I've been arrested a couple times, but never stuck because they look at my record like, you have no record, Pete. Yeah. The one cop said to me one time when he arrested me at a trap house, he said, how come, this is the turning point right here, what I said, and you'll know it in a second. How come every trap house we bust, you're there, and you have no record? What are you doing here? And I said, let me ask you a question. When Jesus walked the earth, did he walk with the rich people, or did he walk with the people down in the miry clay and teach them a better way? He says, so let me get this straight. You're at these trap houses just trying to get these guys out of selling drugs and doing drugs. I go, yeah. He said, I'll remember that. You can leave. So as I walked away, I mocked God. I know I mocked God. And I felt the ping right there. And I said, I'm in trouble. Well, that guy took it upon him to do this big investigation on me. And every chance he can get, he arrested me, stole my stuff, stole guns, stole money. Everything I had reported as $1. I never got any money back. The day that I went to go to court, I was taking a shower. My guy was coming to pick me up. He said, I can't get to you, Pete. He said, the whole street's blocked off from the mall down to the river. There's feds around there, there's helicopters, drones. I don't know what's going on, but somebody's getting arrested. Now it's a famous spot. And so I go out, no shirt on, and I'm looking up in the air. I'm like, holy crap. I wonder who it is. Yeah. And I look down, and a Durango pulls up. Parks looks up at me, puts it in reverse, peels out, goes across to the China wall, and puts binoculars up. And I was like, oh, shit. I said, I think it's me. He goes, you're not that big. I was like, I think it's me. I said, I'm out of here. So I go take a shower. As I'm trying to get dressed, I see AR-15s come around the corner in the mirror. And they said, Polis. I was like, yeah, can you come out here? I said, can you come in here? They said, not right now, but in 4 minutes and something seconds we can. Yeah. So I come out there and I'm looking at them. There was 49 Asians out there with AR-15s. They had FBI, ATF, DEA, CAT team, and then the 3 city units with state patrol there. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is all these people for? They go, you're a drug dealer. I said, no, I'm not. They said, yes, you are. And sure enough, they wound up coming to grab me. And Arizona DEA came with a picture, and they identified me. Yeah. And they hauled me off to
bad state to be in trouble in. Yeah.
They took me right to the courthouse, Al. I went before the magistrate, and they said you're being charged with 2 counts of distribution, punishable by 20 years each. Yeah. I'm like, 40 years for They said, yeah.
Arizona, right?
No, this is in Washington.
Oh, you're back up here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Washington. But they knew me in Arizona on another arrest. The guy came to me and wanted me to turn when he arrested me. He wanted me to turn.
That makes it interstate. That puts federal level.
Well, they have to catch me first. They used it on me.
Yeah. No, I get you, brother. But that's why you had and DEA and all of that.
Yeah,
that's why you had that.
Kept going, and I wound up, pleading innocent, obviously, and going back and forth. They said I can get out on pretrial release because I have no record, but you need someone to watch you, and I couldn't find a person to watch me. So my attorney said, Pete, do you know any clean and sober homes? I said no. And he goes, well, in the jail, there's Oxford House, there's other ones like that up on the wall. Just call one of them. I could probably make it swing because your record, but if they will let you in, you can go out with them. There's a bunch of rules and everything. So I tried to call 3 times and no one answered. And there's a guy on the wall. His name was Jason. I was like, the guy's not answering. And they said, yeah, he's really busy. And I said, you know what? Screw it. I said, I'm filing a motion to keep myself detained, and I'm just going to do my time out. So I wind up riding out the worst withdrawals ever in my life. I was on that floor for 8-9 days puking.
Yeah.
I almost died. I had no response a couple of times. They winded up having to rush me out of there. I fought that thing for a year, the withdrawals in that fentanyl. I was up to 50 pills a day, smoking 50, because it only lasts 20 minutes, those pills. Yeah. 20 minutes, and then you're withdrawing again.
I've never done it, so it's a new, but I've got 19 years working trap houses here as a pastor. I'm a chaplain and senior, as you know. Yeah, I've seen it, been there, done that with that type of an environment. So I just totally get it. When you mention trap house, even though you weren't acting in a pastor's capacity, whether you knew it or not, Pete, there was still a pastor residing within you.
Sure. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, I know that he'll never leave you or forsake you. Obviously. Yeah. I know that for sure. Yeah.
Look at you today. We're going to start wrapping up here. So I want you to get into the
real quick on this. I winded up when my mind started clearing up. I winded up making a plan to open up a clean and sober organization when I got out. And the person that didn't answer the phone, Jason, I said I was going to make my partner. So I wrote this big business plan on yellow pages. And one day that guy, Jason, came into the jail because he interviews people to get out, to pre-trial release and get out for a GRE, graduate reentry program. The chaplain told him that there was something special about me and I should come say hi. So he walks in to see me. I hand him my business plan. Never met him before, and he freaked out. Was like, what is this? Why is my name in here?
Yeah.
I said, just give it a minute. Well, 3 years later, I call him. He gets me into a house. We get together and we start building the foundation for Seasons Housing, which is based for Ecclesiastes.
Yes.
We finally, after 8 months, we got our 501c3 license. We opened up our first house. While on probation. I'm still supposed to be on probation until November of this year.
Yeah.
Still. I built it. We went through one house, 2 houses, 3 houses, 4 houses, 5 houses. I get contracts with DOC, drug court house, and
look at you go.
Right now, almost 100 people are in my houses. I just had my 3rd graduation. I help people, and we didn't charge any rent. We'll charge DOC, we'll charge the government, but we didn't charge the people. And I helped dozens upon dozens of people get out of prison, get a house, get established, wraparound services in the house. We bring treatment to you, and we help get your license, to get your fines paid, and just help out. And now they're having a detox center built here. It's a $50 million project, something like that. Yeah. And it was in the paper the other day that Seasons Housing will be helping that. We'll be running that housing, transitional housing, in 2026. So it's just a great turnaround, and I can never say much about faith because I wrote that business plan and I talked about it like it was guaranteed, and I didn't know my partner. Everyone says I'm never going to do it because I'm just a junkie. I'm just a dealer. No one's going to pay you while you're on probation, Pete. And I said, you know what? I believe they will. And because of that,
faith is a grain of a mustard seed.
They wind up taking a year off my probation, because of the work I'm doing. And now they said in another year and a half, I can apply for a presidential pardon or clemency, whatever, to try to wipe my record off there. And so I can get my rights back. I can do anything to do and continue to glorify him. But I mean, it would, how it would have never happened unless I was in the belly of the whale. I had to go to prison, which is crazy to think I had to go through all that.
That's
just
right.
To get this. And,
and look at the gift that he's given you today, that he gets the glory. It's not about us ever. It never is.
He 100% gets the glory.
Absolutely.
I didn't work my first year out. I didn't work the Lord told me not to work. To work, but not receive a paycheck. And I winded up getting a a new F-150 given to me. My rent paid for a year,
Yeah.
and I was making more money when I wasn't making money because people just wanted to bless and sow into the ministry. It's just crazy. It's just a crazy story.
You know what it is? It is, brother. But I'll tell you something, Pete. People recognize someone that has the true calling, even the innocent that have never walked a journey like you and I have in our lives. And they recognize it. They see the sincerity. They see the true. But what they really see is the anointing. Yeah. You are running 5 halfway houses today, brother. A man that just a few years ago, before doing time, was sitting in a very halfway
54
house.
Months federal time. 42 months federal and 12 months state, but they ran concurrent. So, but I did every minute of the 42 months. The last half in Lompoc. I went to Victorville, Sheridan, Oregon. So it wasn't fun.
I came out of Leavenworth, Kansas, in October of '98.
Try being in Lompoc when COVID hit. 97% of the prison had COVID.
Oh my!
It was crazy. People dying all around you. It was.
I
crazy.
heard of such things when I was out here working.
100%. I got stuck in the hole. I got hit because when I got to Sheridan, my guys from down south were there. They plugged me in. I was selling pills. I had alcohol. I had gun. I had phones, and I got caught with. I had 3 100 series shots in one night. Got sent to the hole. The next day they did a lockdown because of COVID. So I got stuck for a good 6 to 8 months in the hole.
And now we're hustling for Jesus. Look at this.
Hustling for Jesus, yeah.
All right. Well, this is a great place to wrap this up, Pete. I can't thank you enough, brother. And I love you. God bless you.
Love you too, Al. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. I see the work that you're doing. Yeah, we'll be in touch. And I'm just so proud of you, man.
Thank you, bud.
So
appreciate
proud
it.
of you. You too. God bless you, man.
God bless.
All right. Perfect.
Okay, folks. Well, that wraps up another episode today. And I'd like to take this moment to thank each and every one of you for taking your time to catch our show. Now, if you like these shows, I would ask that you would please hit like, share, and subscribe. It's so important to us that we get these messages out, and we understand that these are graphic, almost toxic interviews. But, this is the kind of impact that we feel is needed in order to make sure that people understand the significance of the problems that we are confronted within our own country and around the globe. So I'm going to say at this time that I love you all. God bless you all. Hasta luego, y vaya con Dios, and